Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot, with your host, Josh Anderson.
Welcome everyone to Making Big Shifts by Marketing Reboot. I'm your host, Josh Anderson, where we spotlight real entrepreneurs making real changes and the real life results that followed. We'll break down the playbooks, the pitfalls, and the proof showing you how to scale without all the chaos. So let's get started. Today, I am very happy to be joined by Eric Levine. He is the founder of StratEngine AI, a new SaaS platform that helps consultants and business leaders turn complex problems into clear, actionable strategy in minutes. So welcome, Eric. Appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So Eric, I know this show is all about making big shifts, and whether that's in personal life, business, marketing, any of that. What is one big shift that you've had to make where you came to this point where you're like, oh crap, something has to change? And what was the process up to that and what followed?
Yeah, so I've actually done this several times over my career. I've been an accountant, a product planner, then strategy and operations. So I've lived a lot of different lives or careers. I'd say the most recent one was I was working at Meta in strategy and operations. I actually absolutely loved my job. I was working my way up the corporate ladder and got to places higher on the food chain than I expected to. But there came a point after 3 or 4 years, I was really starting to look around at what was happening with my peers and how I really wanted to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I started realizing that I really wanted to have a new challenge. I wanted to have a new perspective on like how my career was going to go. Like everything was going great. I had the security, but I really wasn't feeling fulfilled and happy. And I thought getting up the ladder would make me happier than I actually was. So that made me do a lot of internal searching of, okay, like if this career path that I absolutely thought would be my life isn't really giving me the happiness I wanted, then like really what am I supposed to be looking for? Or where is that happiness really coming from? And what am I actually missing? So I actually quit my job with no plan at all and had no idea what I was going to do and was like, okay, I'm just going to figure it out. Like, let's just jump off the deep end. And then over a series of 18 months, now going on 2 years, it led me to founding StratEngine AI.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's dive into that. What exactly is StratEngine? I know I gave my spiel at the beginning of the intro, right?
Yeah.
But in your own words, what is StratEngine AI?
So StratEngine AI is, the way I describe it, is the AI strategic planning platform. A lot of the AI products coming out right now, or at least in this period of time, are really geared towards the tech side of the tech industry. And there's not a lot coming out for the people on the business side. And then when you look at strategic planning in itself as a practice, there aren't that many tools, AI or not at all. I mean, there's like some project management type of stuff, but nothing to really build the strategies. So the job I was doing at Meta was writing strategy and authoring strategy for Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And so I actually authored the strategy on how they compete with TikTok and YouTube, which included the launch of Reels, which I'm sure some people have heard of. Like when we were doing it, even at Meta, like these big companies, I'm using Google Docs and G Sheets and like really just throwing this manual process together. And AI didn't exist at the time. So when I was starting a business and I was getting familiar with AI, I was like, okay, this is perfect. It's a very manual process to run a strategic planning process. You got to do your research.
Right.
You got to build your frameworks. You got to select the right framework, which is difficult in and of itself. But then you got to do the analysis, derive your insights. And then once you get the framework insights, you have to build a strategy off of that, which is not that easy to do. And then you have to build a whole presentation deck on top of that, which is manual in and of itself.
Okay.
So this platform automates that entire process. It'll do the research, it'll select and fill out the frameworks, it'll generate the strategy, and then it exports your strategy straight to deck. And so just for context, this process from start to first draft at Meta would take me roughly 6 to 8 weeks. And this platform gets it done in less than 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay. What, kind of going down this rabbit hole of this amazing product, what does the user input into the system?
Yeah, so I have both like a interface of a chat interface similar to ChatGPT of like, hey, I'm trying to figure out this problem. It's kind of nebulous. Like, can you help me like bring shape to it? And then what it'll do is it'll guide you of like, okay, you're trying to figure out, this is the problem you're trying to figure out. Here are the inputs I need. Or you can do it of like, I know concretely what the problem I have is. Here's the framework I need to like analyze it. And then it'll give you all of the inputs you need to put in because you need to give the model like context of the business and the problem and the market and things like that.
Yeah. So it also does take in consideration like inputting competitor intel, or is that part of the
Yeah,
aspect?
exactly. So like
Yeah.
the more information you can give it, the better because it has a stronger basis. But like it can do everything from internal operations to market entry strategy to starting a new business to like new product launches, things
Yeah.
like that.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll get that circle back to that in a minute, but let's kind of go back to that big shift you were making and the
Yeah.
theme of the show. So you left Meta, right? And then you jumped into StratEngine AI. What was that process like? Obviously, I mean, jumping in, launching your own company, and then I guess ideation through that whole process of I'm sure you had these ideas that as you were working in marketing and strategy for years and years and years, right? But how did you build actually?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there was actually like I'd say 6 to 8 month period of me doing literally nothing. I traveled the world. I was like, I'm
Nice.
not thinking about work. I'm just taking a full hard
Yeah.
reset. And then when I got back from one of my big trips, I was like, all right, like it's been 6 months. Like I gotta start figuring something out, even if it's not the thing. And so I'm actually a really big scuba diver. And for a long time, I've had this idea of building a better scuba diving app. A lot of the stuff on the market was built by engineers. The user interface is really poor. And a lot of the dive log planning and things like that, like were really not great on the market, which I was surprised with because digital apps have been around for so long. It's just such a niche market that no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
So the way I got into it was like, okay, with all of this AI stuff that's around, there's got to be like some low code, no code builder that can like at least get me the interface and like I can kind of figure it out maybe with like ChatGPT, just asking it a bunch of questions on how to do things.
Yeah.
So I actually went down that path first. It was like, okay, first I'm going to build it for myself just so I have it. But then, like, as a strategy person, I was like, let's see if I can market this. And
Totally.
so I eventually got it launched. Probably took me 3 to 4 months to build, which was a lot longer just because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And like, it was all a learning process. But I eventually got it launched and then realized, like, okay, if I were to build a business around this, how would I go about that?
Nice.
And made a ton of mistakes along the way. Started marketing way too late, like paid advertising doesn't work like they think people think it does. Oh, lots of mistakes later, like eventually got it to a place where like I'm pretty happy with it and user
Yeah.
acquisition is pretty good. But then, like, as I'm looking at this app, I'm like, okay, look, I'm begging people for like $2 to $3 at a time. Like, people
Totally.
don't use it this often. This isn't a real business. It's really a passion project. I was like, okay, now that I have this skill set, what do I like? What can I do next? I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now I have the tools to like, I don't need a technical founder anymore. Now I can do this in house. I can run a one person company. AI enables that, which was never previously possible. I was like, okay, so when I thought about my job at Meta, I was like, oh, AI can crush this job and just completely expedite the entire process.
Mhm.
And so I actually used a lot of the frameworks that are in the app. I did it in the manual way because the product didn't exist. So I was like, okay, so like, what does the blue ocean strategy look like? What's the SWOT analysis? Like, how do I
Mhm.
like actually create like a viable business out of this? I had to build the business model. But then once I had the business model and the strategy, I was like, okay, I can actually build the product now because like me, myself, I'm the user.
Right.
So I could get like a pretty good sense of product market fit and get close for launch, which would cut out a lot of the research process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm in another life. I was a big scuba diver as well, so we got that in common. So
Great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, like to your point, like vibe coding things of that nature, putting your app together. What like as you were trying to get people to going to the app, the scuba diving app, did you have any like marketing nuggets to get people to try that to begin with? I know it's hard to even give things away, honestly, for beta testers
Totally.
nowadays, right? What did you find that worked? And I'm sure you're using that now when you go to StratEngine, right?
Yeah, so like because it's a consumer app, I really focused on giving away as much of the core functionality for
Yeah.
free as I could. Because my philosophy here is that like I need to reach a critical mass in order to start the word of mouth flywheel. And like until I get that critical mass, it's just me like begging people to use this. And so a lot of the core functionality was free and it still is free to this day because it's important for me to like create a app even just for the community that they can use. And so once the core free stuff was in there, I was trying to think about extensibility of the app. I was like, okay, so like it's great for dive planning and what else can it do? And then I thought about, all right, every time I go on a dive, I have to go through this really scattered routine of like, where's my equipment? Do I have all of my equipment?
Right.
Especially if I'm going on a trip, you don't want to forget anything. Where is my itinerary? Like all of this stuff
Yeah.
you have to keep track of. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can centralize that in this app
Yeah.
and make it a travel companion as well.
Right.
And then, like, if you own equipment, which not everyone does, you have to keep track of your maintenance schedule and like the documentation and all of that. And like that definitely is not something everyone does because like I did it once and immediately threw out the paper. So I was like, I know that like this is not
Yeah.
common. So I started like making those extra features paid. I was like, okay, if you're going on a trip, then buy it for like a week or a month.
Yeah.
And then like it's not recurring, it's not a subscription. Like you're only going on a trip once or twice a year. That's it. And so
So,
that I built the business model off of. And then I put a chat feature in that
oh,
takes all your dive log data, which people, what I also noticed is don't really use the dive log as much. And so if you put all your data in it and record all your dives, my travel planner will be like, okay, here are all the places you've been. Where do you want to dive next? What do you want to see? And then it'll recommend
that's
destinations.
really neat. Yeah.
You
That's
don't have to
cool.
keep Googling everything.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So in terms of, so now we have StratEngine launched, of course, right? And so what's
Yeah.
out there now? What has been the best feedback or what is the feedback you're starting to get from this?
I think the feedback I've gotten is just like shock and awe more than anything.
It's good. That's
In the
good.
sense of a lot of the feedback, LA Tech Week was just here, and I was like interviewing a lot of people or talking to a lot of people
Yeah.
about like their experiences. And universally, consultants who do a lot of this strategy work and are hired to do it like in quick iterations, they're trying to use ChatGPT. And like if you use that to like do full strategy work, it's garbage. It'll hallucinate things, it'll give you wrong recommendations, and it can't run the full process at all. And so they're sitting there like saying, I understand the narrative is that AI is so useful, but like I can't get it to be useful for me other than rewriting my emails.
Yeah.
And so I think when I like came to them and was like, hey, I've got a platform that will like not only service your specific needs, but it'll speed up the whole thing with AI. And then you just have to make some tweaks. I think they were just shocked that anyone even was paying attention to like their niche of the industry, but
Mhm.
two, how much time savings it really generated for them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, there's so much time and effort that go into that. And just having even just like having all of your assets in one place, which would be within StratEngine AI is a
Totally.
massive win for a lot of consultants and small marketing teams because half it's in Excel, half it's on Google Sheets, half of it's who knows where, right? So
Totally.
that's just a massive time saver in looking for assets.
Yeah, and like because security is such a big issue, I didn't want to house all your files. So you hook it up to Google Drive and that'll
Yeah,
keep your secure environment.
for sure. Good call. Good call. Where do you see it go? What do you see the next 6 months, 12 months StratEngine? How do you see the growth going?
I see growth going. Where do I have to do it? Like consultants is my bread and butter for
Yeah.
these the product, but really SMB executives who run a strategic planning process once or twice a year, I
Hmm.
think would find a lot of value in this as well. A lot of them can't hire expensive consultants or they don't know how to run the process best practice. So even doing it once or twice a year, I really need to start bringing them into the fold.
Yeah.
And then even further, I've noticed or I've been hearing a lot of murmurings of like agencies do a lot of deck creation of like, hey,
Hmm.
this is your marketing strategy, especially for potential clients. So
Totally.
I already have a proposal generator in there for consultants, but it would be really easy to just move it over to agencies so they can just pump out these proposals really fast. So I guess the short answer is it's a lot of audience expansion more than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So like, as other people are going through their day, to their careers, they're ready for a change. What advice, because you obviously made a huge shift from being leaders in Meta to now where you're at now. What advice would you have to anybody out there?
Yeah, so I would say quitting your job without a plan is not necessarily the safest or the
Yeah.
best
Burn
way
the
to do it.
boats. Burn the boats.
That took a lot of soul searching for me to pull that trigger, but I think like the bigger takeaway is like it takes a lot of looking inside yourself and internal work to figure out like what makes you happy and what's currently missing in your life to give you a sense of direction of where the right path is to go.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just assume that like we're systemically programmed to think that like if you go through a corporate job, you'll be happy, or if you automatically have kids, you'll be happy, things like that. And so I encourage everyone to really like take a step back from that systemic narrative and really think inside yourself, like what would make you personally happy. Ignore what everybody else thinks and says. You're the only person that can make yourself happy. So figure out what's missing and figure out what you can do to like bring those things back into your life to really round out your happiness. And if that requires a big change, then trust that you have the skills necessary to make that change.
Yeah.
And if it's a smaller change, then just make those adjustments and just keep working on yourself every day.
Yeah, I love it. I think there's a lot to that first part you're saying there. And then it reminds me of a Hunter S. Thompson quote I actually have on my phone. I'm reading it now. Is beware of looking for goals, look for a way of life, decide how you want to live, and then see what you can do to live within that way of life.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
that hits home a lot of that there.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Anything else you want to mention about StratEngine AI?
No, give it a
Why'd you
shot.
add, I guess? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, give it a shot. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking for feedback constantly. It's a
Yeah.
one-person company, so if you email me feedback, I'm the guy that's going to get it,
There we go.
and I'm going to make the changes pretty quickly because I don't have to go through a whole corporate ladder to make any changes.
Totally. What constraints have you seen being a one-person company? I know AI allows that nowadays. What have you seen pros and cons, I guess?
Yeah, so the pros is that like chain
Move
of
fast.
command's pretty quick.
Yeah.
So decisions are made very quickly, and changes can be implemented incredibly fast.
Real
Like my
time.
development timeline is great. I'd say the cons is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Like I have to do both marketing, which is building a marketing funnel in and of itself is a full-time job and requires a team, as well as the development and like bug reporting and all of that stuff. So the con is that like my speed of the company as a whole, not necessarily the product, just the company, is a little bit slower than I would prefer.
Right.
And until like you can generate enough profit where like you don't have to, well, that you can hire a team,
Totally.
then like it's gonna stay that way. But also like by design, I don't really want to hire a team because that comes with a plethora of
Oh, yeah.
legal and all of that stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think the speed of the company is the con, and like always feeling like there's 10 million things I need to do.
Yep.
But it's just cost of doing business.
Totally. There's a lot of weight that carries wearing all those hats, but a lot of freedom as well. And
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that people can get a hold of you. What is a good email address for people to reach out to you if they want to?
Yeah, so Eric at StratEngineAI.com is the easiest way to reach me.
Awesome, Eric.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Eric with a C. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on today and telling your story. It was really impactful. I think a lot of people can take a lot of good, good mindset shifts from this, of course. Like, you don't have to burn the boats every time, but when you do go all in, and I think that's a really good story. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Subscribe for more real stories and hard-won lessons. And thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to Making Big Shifts. Like, share, and follow for more. Join us next time on Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot,